Hi, I'm here at the Mission Museum. I'm Mike Jeffcoat. We're here talking about American history, and American history as it relates to its Christian foundings, its Christian roots. We're fortunate enough to be in southern Lexington County, where a great deal of that history not only thrived, but has survived in history. The purpose of this museum is to highlight a lot of that history as it relates to the founding of our nation, and also as it relates to a specific movement that came to this country from Europe that was so troubled at the time. And what you see is the combination of both the Great Awakening and the Enlightenment movement moved through great evangelical movements to influence the minds of people who are the forefathers of the country. Specifically, there's a relationship between George Washington and his cousin, Lady Selina Shirley Hastings, Countess of Huntingdon, who also influenced her great friend Benjamin Franklin. Her first chaplain in America was George Whitefield, who died in 1770. You'll see that she influenced Patrick Henry. And so she believed that this nation, new nation, America, was in need of making sure that it would survive successfully in many ways, but mostly in the preservation of the message and the miracle of the birth of Jesus Christ. So Lady Huntingdon came here, founded these places in southern Lexington County and other places in 1767. What was unique about her was that she was both the cousin advisor of King George III and Queen Charlotte, but she was also cousin advisor to George and Martha Washington. And their relationship took root when her chaplain, George Whitefield, passed away in 1770, leaving a void that she had to fill in this country. So she began to search for places to anchor herself, and the Southeast was a perfect place, and she wanted to be specifically in South Carolina for many reasons, but she had friends like Henry Laurens, who was a great advisor to her, also her personal attorney for matters in the Americas. So you see South Carolina becomes sort of this epicenter of much of that movement. The movement continued right on before the American Revolution, when she came for a mission to preserve the indigenous and to free the enslaved. So this was before the American Revolution. That is significant because her position with George Washington and King George III meant she was only concerned with the Christian mission, the missionary movement. She was not concerned with political agenda. So when the revolution came, she was sitting in the catbird seat, and so she chose to pivot and go with George Washington when he won. So from 1776 on, what you end up seeing is this magnificent movement of her influence on George Washington and his creation of this nation. It also is evident in the writing of the Constitution and the men that were present there, especially the first 5. And that relationship can be discussed another time at length. But what you discover basically in the founding of this country through one person, and imagine there were lots of others, but one person very successful. In 1767, the Countess of Huntingdon put the Love Initiatives movement into America, and that not only gave us the settlement in South Carolina, it also gave us the founding of a town and a city for her best friend, Queen Charlotte. What's important to know about Queen Charlotte is that she was a young queen in the 1760s. The people that influenced her greatly were Lady Selina Shirley Hastings at her right hand and her own children. So Lady Selina Shirley Hastings' daughter, Lady Selina, carried the coronation train for Queen Charlotte. Her son commissioned the gold coach, which is used even by Queen Elizabeth and the monarchs today. They were intimately living with Queen Charlotte. Lady Selina Shirley Hastings' uncle was the comptroller, the founding person to control the money for Queen Charlotte. So we can actually trace Queen Charlotte's backing of this mission to America through Christianity to preserve the indigenous and to free the enslaved. As we move on after the Revolution, we can actually see her presence, Lady Selina's presence, so strong at Mount Vernon that George and Martha Washington slept with a portrait of her at their bedside in their bedchamber until their death. That's actually documented through the Smithsonian and also the National Archives. As far as her influence for Washington, she believed that he needed direction on establishing Christian Indian civilizations and populations and settlements. So she gave a proposed settlement, civilization settlement, which was endorsed by Washington and many other of the fathers, the founding fathers. She also, in 1784, asked Francis Asbury. Now, Francis Asbury was a Methodist bishop to America. She asked Francis Asbury, through her great friend, who was Daniel Robideau, who was Washington's great friend, to go to Mount Vernon in 1784 and petition George Washington to sign a petition to end slavery. So her footprint and her mission remained true. What is so fascinating about it is not what happened from 1767 till now, is the fact that that mission began in this country in 1717, when her husband or his cousin named Theophilus Hastings became aligned with the Creek Indians in Alabama at Tuskegee, which you recognize, Tuskegee Institute, at Tuskegee, T-A-S-K-I-G-I, at Fort Toulouse in Alabama. In 1717, he was the king's agent for the Creek Indians, and so he was with the Cherokees and the Creeks. He went there, he formed an alliance with the Creek Indians that greatly influenced the movement that came in 1735 with the Wesley brothers, John and Charles Wesley, and the great educator Benjamin Ingham, who came from Lady Selina Shirley Hastings' domain in England. He was also her brother-in-law. Her sister married him. Ingham came to Savannah with the Wesleys. The Wesleys ended up having a hiccup and going back. So did Benjamin Ingham. But one thing Benjamin Ingham did was he went to Chief Tomochichi of the Creeks, and they formed an alliance. And that alliance was one that would help to preserve the Native Americans from the onslaught of what was happening. And it was one simple mission, and Chief Tomochichi was the brain behind it. And what he said was, we can create a classroom where our children from different cultures learn the culture of the other and learn to speak one common language going forward. And Benjamin Ingham set forth the first schools, and right behind him was George Washington's Countess of Huntingdon. So if we start to look full circle in the history of America, we can finally see the roots of this great movement, which was part of the Great Awakening, the Enlightenment, going back to 1717 and transitioning all the way forward up until 1776. Beyond that, all the way through to 1865, and of course to this great year, 2026, when we're celebrating America 250. America is what it is today because people came back then with a mission and a vision, just like the one you see today in the Mission Museum at Christ Central Ministries.